There's something you've noticed but never said out loud. You walk into a conversation, and within seconds you already see where it's going. Not just the next sentence, but the outcome. And you hesitate, not because you're unsure, but because you already know how it will sound if you say it, so you stay quiet. And here's the strange part. People assume you're disengaged, maybe even slow to react. But inside, your mind is moving faster than the room can keep up with. You felt this before, that quiet gap between what you see and what others seem to miss. But the deeper truth is, this isn't hesitation, it's calculation, and what you thought was overthinking might actually be something your brain was designed to do. The question is, why does it feel like something you have to hide? And this is where it changes. What you've been calling overthinking isn't random. It's your nervous system doing exactly what it was wired to do. People who process the world this way often operate with higher acetylcholine activity, a neurotransmitter linked to deep focus, pattern detection, and internal simulation. In simple terms, your brain doesn't just react. It runs scenarios, quietly, constantly. So when you're in a conversation, you're not just hearing words, you're mapping intentions, predicting outcomes, noticing inconsistencies most people filter out. And here's where most people get it wrong. They assume fast talkers are sharp. Quick responses mean intelligence. But your brain works differently. It trades speed for depth. You pause because you've already gone 3 layers deeper. But then something shifts. Your brain also calculates the social cost. How will this sound? Will it create friction? Will people misunderstand? So instead of speaking, you edit, you compress, or you say nothing at all. This isn't insecurity. It's precision mixed with awareness. And the deeper truth is, this pattern is tied to something called optimal arousal theory. Your brain isn't stimulated by surface-level interaction. It needs complexity to stay engaged, which is why small talk feels draining, not because you're antisocial, but because your brain is understimulated. And when that happens, something else kicks in, a low-level cortisol response, not panic, not stress, but a subtle tension, enough to make you withdraw instead of engage. So from the outside, it looks like disinterest. But inside, it's overload mixed with understimulation at the same time. And this is where most people misunderstand everything. Because what looks like distance is actually intensity. You're not disconnected. You're processing more than the moment can hold. And this is where the misunderstanding becomes personal. People start labeling it. Quiet, reserved, hard to read, maybe even arrogant. But the deeper truth is, your brain is running ahead while your identity is trying to stay socially acceptable. So you split. Part of you sees everything clearly. Another part decides what's safe to say. And over time, that gap grows. This is what psychologists describe as a locus of control conflict. Internally, you trust your perception, but externally, you adapt to the room. And here's the part most people never admit. You start questioning yourself, not because you're wrong, but because no one else is seeing what you see. So you pull back, you observe more, you speak less. But then something deeper happens. You begin to feel unseen, even when you're understood on the surface. People recognize your intelligence. They come to you for answers. But they don't see the hesitation. They don't see the doubt. They don't see the constant filtering happening in real time. And this creates a quiet contradiction. You're visible for what you know, but invisible for who you are. This is known as the visibility paradox. And if you've ever felt like people understand your thoughts, but not you as a person, this is you. You felt this before. And this is the moment most people misinterpret themselves, because what you've been calling overthinking isn't a flaw. It's your brain refusing to operate on the surface. It's depth without permission. And maybe the real problem isn't how you think. It's the environments that were never designed to understand it. And this is where everything reframes. What you thought was holding you back is actually what gives you range. You don't just react, you anticipate. You don't just listen, you decode. That same pattern recognition, driven by acetylcholine, is what allows you to see outcomes before they happen, to notice subtle shifts in tone, behavior, intention. In the right environment, that becomes strategy. In complex systems, that becomes leadership. In relationships, that becomes emotional intelligence most people never develop. So the silence you learned wasn't weakness, it was calibration. And the exhaustion you feel isn't because something is wrong with you. It's because your nervous system has been operating in environments that reward speed over depth. You are not slow. You are precise. You are not detached. You are selective. You are not overthinking. You are seeing patterns most people miss. And once that shifts, everything changes. Because now the question isn't, how do I fix this? It becomes, where does this actually belong? And maybe that's the part no one tells you. You were never supposed to fit into every room. Some environments reward speed, noise, and surface-level clarity. And in those spaces, your depth will always feel like friction. But that doesn't make it wrong. It just means it's not designed for you. Because when you're in the right context, something shifts. Your pauses become insight. Your silence becomes weight. Your pattern recognition becomes direction. And suddenly, the same traits you questioned start making sense. So before you label yourself again, pause for a second. Was it ever that you think too much? Or is it that you see more than most people are ready to process? Most people won't relate to this. But if you do, you already know why.